rage. Steel beasts roll a distant wage. Truckers' voices crying through the night. Tales of speed and endless fights. Miles and miles, all our strength we give. Hauling dreams, we fight to live. Lonely highways call our name. In this life, we find our fame. Neon lights and diner blues. Truck stops where we share the news. Turning wheels in endless miles. Stories fill the smoky aisles. Miles and miles, all our strength we give. Hauling dreams, we fight to live. Lonely highways call our name. In this life, we find our fame. Neon lights and diner blues. Truck stops where we share the news. Turning wheels and endless miles. Stories fill the smoky aisles. Miles and miles, all our strength we give. Hauling dreams, we fight to live. Lonely highways.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. How y'all doing tonight? I hope everybody had a good day of trucking out there. I hope that your day went well. I hope that everything that you did today was good and prosperous. I had a safe day most of all. Well, I'm coming to you from a different part of Truckers Voices studio here. I've had some issues going on. I've got what they call Achilles apopathy, and that means I can't walk on my foot. So I can't go upstairs video, but we're going to bring it to you live from down here in my actually it's in my dining room. I'm so glad that everybody's decided to join us tonight. We got a great show lined up for y'all tonight. Don't think y'all going to miss one part of it tonight, and we're going to get into a little bit of everything tonight there. We got a guest on here. His name is Jim Murphy. A lot of you know who he is, and I don't know him as well as some of you do, but I'm ready to listen and learn and, just see what all he has to say tonight. But we had a little bit of technical glitches going on. We're just a few minutes late coming on the air. Those technical glitches are actually carried over from last week. And but, hey, no matter to you somehow, some way there. But it's good to see y'all and see everybody logging in here tonight. I'm excited for the show. You know, I always listen to the show the next myself sometimes. And so y'all can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on YouTube. And we're also on iHeartRadio also. So, y'all can catch us anywhere out there on the platform for your listening pleasures while y'all getting those safe miles behind you each and every. But I don't have my board in front of me today, and so I'm not going to be able to bring Steve in here on my good old walk-on music there, but we're going to do the best we can with it today. Steve may even sing his way in here tonight. I don't know. Y'all just have to see if he'll sing for you there. But I'm in here, and we're going to get this show rolling here in just a minute. What's happening there, everybody?
What's going on, buddy? Can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir. I can hear you just fine there, Steve. Everything's sounding good and clear on my end. I see you're coming to us from also.
Yep. I'm doing it off my phone. Apparently something on the haywire there. I don't know what we got going on, but we'll get her straightened up.
Yep, we definitely gonna get it all straightened out, and but good show coming up tonight, man. Steve, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put up the old legal stuff here, and we'll get that out of the way here, so we won't have to worry about it, and we don't forget about it. How about that?
Sounds good. You want me to read her off there?
Sure.
All right. The views expressed on the show are those of the host and the guest only and do not reflect those of others.
Or other entities. How about that?
Other entities. That sounds good. Sounds good. Like I always say, get offended. Don't get offended.
Don't get offended,
buddy, but you know how that goes.
Yeah, we're just truck drivers, aren't we?
Exactly.
I got a little delay on my end going here, so if you see me and Steve start talking over each other, we're not doing it on purpose. It's just the way these things are set up sometimes, and we get delayed. And absolutely nothing today. I'm resting this foot. There's what the doctor's orders are.
That sounds good. Got to take care of yourself, brother. Got to take care of yourself.
You froze up on me, Steve-O.
Yeah, I thought you froze up on me. We're having a heck of a time here.
Yes, sir.
So, all right, yeah.
Well, how was your day of trucking, Steve?
Oh, it's a good day of trucking. I was running a little bit behind. They had a couple of accidents over in Columbus today, and I lost about 20 minutes going up. So that kind of put me in a little bit of rush hour coming home. But hey, we made it safe, made it sound. Everybody's cool, everybody's good, and we're ready to go.
Ready to rock and roll, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I got you.
Well, I can get a little better picture.
There you go. There you go. Now you're showing everybody.
Showing everybody what you cut out on me.
The studio.
Oh, yeah. My makeshift studio.
Yeah, and that cutting out may be my end because I'm on the Wi-Fi right now, and it could be my end of it there, right?
Right. I hear you.
Normally I'm hooked up right through the Ethernet, but I'm not hooked up through the Ethernet. But we're gonna make it there, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We sure are.
Well, all right. Tell us a little bit about Murph here.
Oh, I've known Jim for several years. He kind of headed up our TDC up there in Ohio, and he did a fabulous job. And I'm excited to get him on the show and hear his story.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Steve, if something happens on my end, y'all just carry on the conversation tonight. We'll get it fixed from this end, but we'll do it. We're gonna make this podcast work there, right?
Sounds good. We always do, man. That's what we do. We make it work.
All right. Let's bring Murph on in here and let's get this show rolling.
Sounds good.
Everybody, Mr. Jim Murphy, better known as Murph.
Good evening, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
You sounding good now, Jim.
Yeah, you sound good too. Steve looking good.
It's all his fault.
What can I say?
Oh, it's good to have you, Jim, and just thank you for taking out your time to come on here and talk about stuff that we all have a passion for, the trucking industry, the trucking driving championships, and most of all, safety. We all have a passion for that, and I just want to thank you for taking your time out with that today. So anyway, just come on and tell us about yourself, introduce yourself, tell us where you're from, and then we'll just kind of lead off of that with the questions, okay?
All righty. Originally from Missouri, have been kind of all across the country with multiple large companies in trucking, been owner operator, had a few trucks at a time, and fortunate to work in about 12 different with 12 different state associations, competed in truck driving championships, won a state title, been to multiple nationals, assisting them at the ATA nationals, and about 38 years in trucking, and roughly about 30 years in truck driving championships. So I've seen an awful lot, been around an awful lot, and love it. Met a lot of people, and you talked about safety, and safety is so important to me. From the trucking side, it's about changing lives and paying it forward to others. And more than anything, it's about making a difference, right? And as long as we make a difference every day, whether it be safety wise, teaching someone, changing lives, or just being there, right? Ultimately, when it comes to trucking, and it comes to big companies, it comes to small companies, there's one thing that really matters, and that's the people. We can replace metal all day long, but we can't replace people. And unfortunately, we lose a lot of people throughout our careers, and we always want to pay respects to them. I got a small list of people I like to pay respect to tonight that have had a lot of influence in my career and a lot of change in my career. So I look forward to chatting with y'all. I really appreciate you to have me on. Steve been prodding me for a while to get on there, and that's Steve, right? That Steve's all about the passion, and that's one of the things I love about him. So I appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity.
Appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and I'm going to let you take it away here, Steve.
Take it away, huh? Okay. Well, I guess where do you want to start, Jim? We're just going to let you have the floor. Like I told you, there's no script, no anything here. We're just three guys sitting here chit chatting. So I'm going to let you decide which way you want to go with this.
Well, I think the only appropriate way is to take care of a little business check right off the bat. Tim, usually in life, good people have good things come to them, right? And
That's
sometimes
right.
it takes a while for them to have it happen. And some people don't really have the patience to deal with it sometimes and gets a little carried away. So, some of you, probably most of you, already know the news. But I asked Tim tonight, knowing this guy, Steve, for quite a few years, if I could take the time and take the honor to pay tribute to. He's already kind of gave the hint away as he flashed the bling a little bit to our 2024 Ohio Driver of the Year, Steve Brand.
Hey,
Congratulations and well deserved, my friend. Well deserved. Sorry I couldn't be there.
well, we missed you, but we'll make up for it in May when I see you up there at the TDC. And
Yeah, you gonna get a big hug, bub. You're gonna
I,
get a big hug.
hey, I'm waiting on it. And like I've been telling everybody all week, I'm very humbled. Uh, Patience is a virtue, like you said. Uh, you've got to fight for what you want, and I want safety. I want people to know about safety, and I care about people, and I'm happy for all the previous recipients of the driver of the year, and I knew my time was coming. Just take time. And but I didn't get here by myself. I had a lot of help, a lot of help, a lot of influences over my years of trucking, and I learned a lot from you, from Tim. The list is endless. And like I said the other night at when I was kind of accepting this, uh, good friend of ours. I met him in '99. That's Mike Hathaway. Sorry if I get a little choked up, but he was a big mentor to me in this truck driving deal. And then as I met people along the way, it just the we use one word in this TDC, and that's family. And we
Yep.
all become a family. And you have your blood family, your biological family, your wife, your kids, and everybody. But then you have your trucking family, you got your TDC family, and it's so good to see these people at least once a year. You try to see them more, but you don't always see them. But yeah, I can't take credit for this 100% myself because I had a lot of help along the way, a lot of mentors, a lot of educators, and that's the key too. Pay attention to what people tell you, you know, and it's constructive criticism. It's not criticism. They're trying to help you. They're trying to guide you in the correct direction. And Lord only knows I used to be a bad one.
Well, there's a reason why our parents told us more than what we probably listened to, that we have two of these and one of these. You're supposed to
Exactly.
listen more. And no, you said it very well there, Steve. And I think you said it exactly right, that Unfortunately, I have a list of people I want to thank along the way myself, and unfortunately, we can't name everybody. And unfortunately, we kind of forget a lot of people that paid along the way. So, um, I think you dang sure have represented Ohio in an amazing way. You have represented the Ohio Trucking Association, your company, and everyone in a very professional way. Every time I see an ATA post with you on it, I'm like, my man, right?
Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, I just, and God bless that woman that was next to you in that photo.
Oh,
I mean, that's the one that should get 2 awards.
yes. Yes.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart for sure. So I was the only bad part I was thinking the other night as I was watching it live is I wish I'd won money on this betting for you as much as I lost on betting for you before and you didn't win.
Oh shoot. Well, like I said, I applauded her very much because she's my rock. And she's been with me 34 out of 36 years of my trucking life. And she's like every other wife out there. She's had to play the dad, the mom, the homemaker. She's had to play it all. And she has stepped up to the plate when I haven't been there. And I'm fortunate enough to be home every night, and I try to do my part and make up all that for her and help her any way I can,
Well,
But
Tim, in that photo you got right there that's up, you know, the funny thing too is we talk about friends and we talk about family and we talk about unity and bond in this industry. People have no idea. I tell all my mentees that I work with, I'm like, it's about relationships. And I look at this
It is.
photo and I'm like, I saw many of these guys when they were drivers, young drivers, and as they come up through the chain and you know you guys can both relate, and I can relate too because I see a buddy of mine that was with Lockton. He's been with Yellow. He's been all across the board. Back in '97, when I beat him by 2.5 points at the state championships in Missouri, and I've seen him as we get older. Some of you are still able to truck, and some of us just go into safety side. And I've seen him at nationals multiple times, working the course like I am. And he goes, "There's old Deuce and a half, beat me by 2.5 points." And we still have that friendship and that bond. And, I wanted to beat his butt that day. And just like in that photo you're showing, so many of these guys, and Steve knows the rivalry in Ohio, and I'm very proud that where Ohio was and where they've come to now in the truck driving championships, and Mr. Hathaway and Mark Spencer there on the front row. We went to Mr. Davis in 2010, said, 2008, Bucky Robbins, which I mean was a huge mentor for me early in my career. And he said, "You need to take this on," and it gets back to the association because it was one of the very few that was run by an independent association. And I hate to say it, but it wasn't. There may have been some integrity issues, right? And you always got to worry about that. And some was spotted, but then we took it back on, and I took it as like, "Hey, we're going to make this a success, and we're going to have fun."
oh,
Did we lose him? Did he lose? He lost his internet.
I think he lost his connection.
Yeah, I think he did too. So back in here. So talk about that a little bit, Steve, while we're waiting to see if he logs back in there real quick. Talk about when Ohio was run not by the association and, by, just kind of speak to that a little bit.
Well, when I started in 1999 was my first year. It was run by an organization called Ohio Professional Rodeo Association,
Yes.
and they was good people. They was good people, and it just kind of got to the point. Jim said integrity issues and things like that, and Jim, you brought up a name Bucky. I forgot about him. He
Yeah.
was an awesome guy.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, and what year was it that Ohio Trucking took it back over
So
2010.
2007 was my first year there. 2008 is when we went to Mr. Davis and the crew decided we were talking about. I was on the board of directors. We were talking about it, and Hathaway and I started talking. I said we need to take this back, and Tim, if I refer to Hathaway as Big Sexy at some point in time, don't take offense to that because that's all we knew him as. Because
Right.
he never saw a person he didn't like to hug that was female, you know. And but and I'm sure his son, if he's watching right now, is laughing. But you know, said, hey, we can make this happen, and we kind of went out on a limb. And I said, you know, within 3 years, we're going to make this profitable. And you know, they kind of looked at me like, really? And we took it. We went to the IX Center. We need to find a place to do it. We went to IX Center in Cleveland for a couple years up there. Um, Steve, I think you remember one of my favorite times, and I know they're probably watching tonight, so I'll share the story. One of my favorites was the year that Imhoff won the grand champion, and him and Woodrum exchanged words about how to pack so many trophies because they had so many. And Scott goes, "I got plenty. You can carry out too if you want to." So it was a fun time, and that's that friendly rivalry, right? But then we wanted to do something different, and I had said, you know, and from my years of experience, I said, "Man, let's make this friendly." And they're like, "What are we gonna do?" And Mr. Davis goes, "What do we do?" And I said, "I'm going to go up to the IX Center and try to get it at the water park." And that's when it changed from, I don't know, Steve, probably 150 to 230, just like that.
Yeah.
And the numbers grew and the
Wow.
people loved it. And, you know, we've had a lot of ATA folks come through there and go, wow, this is just like it. And, you know, it's a big show and I'm proud of it. I'm proud of the guys. I'm proud of the people. And he's heard this before, but this will be my last one up there as I go south. And I look forward to working with some of the states down there. But, you know, it's been a great ride in Ohio and Michigan and West Virginia in my career. So many people I could think of. And, you know, it all started. The funny thing is how it starts, right? We all got to remember how it started. And if I could just tell that piece real quick, Mr.
Absolutely. Take
Whitman.
your liberty.
Oh yeah, Mr. Whitman lived across the street from us, and he drove a concrete powder truck. And his wife Sue worked at the hospital with my mom. And you know, I'd see that truck come in, and it was like, oh man, look at that truck. And one day he's like, if you know, while I was sitting out front, people didn't lock nothing back in the day. He goes, it's unlocked, and I sit in that thing, and then I go through a couple other trucks, and I still blame him a little bit because I'm like, dang it, Dave Whitman, you got me into this, right? And that's where the love started. And when I was in the military, I was able to I wanted to get a license for everything on our base that we had. I wanted to drive no matter what, whether it be a high reach or a big truck or whatever. And I just had that passion, like, hey, and you don't even realize it's churning inside of you. And then I come back and I was like, okay, now what do I want to do? I can go to work in this little battery plant, or I can go do this, or I can do that. And I tried a couple of those, and I was like, and I rode with a buddy of mine, Bill Weaver, and I rode with him on a ride one time as a ride along. And I'm like, you know, this trucking thing is kind of cool. And so what I do, I end up getting into trucking, and then next thing you knew, I bought trucks, and then I had drivers working for me, and you know, then I went through the owner operator thing for a few years, and it's funny how you end up things change, right? And as it changed, like '98, I'm in Las Vegas, and my buddy Rick said, "Hey, I sold your truck," and I'm like, woke up next morning, and go, I'm unemployed. I don't have a truck. and my boss, God bless him, he said, "Hey, I got a safety job if you're interested." And that's how that started, you know. And through another career of mine, I had a guy say, "Why are you working this warehouse?" And I was working for Walmart at the time, and they were a great company to work for. And you know, I've worked for two of the best companies, Walmart and I'll say Old Dominion now, and then two of the best companies out there. And I was in the warehouses and met this guy. He knew my life and my history, and he's like, all you done is trucking. Why are you in this warehouse for this short amount of time? You need to go over there. That's when I met Bucky. Steve was that year, and he's like, why are you over there? Why ain't you over here? And that was on Thursday. Monday, I'm in safety, And yeah. So, but it's crazy how things change. And, there's a couple people, well, more than a couple, but I just want to call out, Mr. Whitman had big influence on my life. One of the things I know, Steve, you can appreciate Leroy Likens
Yeah.
Leroy Likens was a guy who taught me how to drive a tanker. And in '97, I went to the Nationals and beat him in the Nationals. And he had taught me how to drive a tanker 4 years earlier. It's kind of like, man, that's kind of cool. The guy who trained me, I was able to be at Nationals. And, a couple other people, well, a few here, Daryl Dahman, Roy Freeman, Bucky Robbins, Richard Turner, Marty Blackson, Ken Shirley, John Rencher, John Gopp, Larry Davis, Tom Balzer, big influence, right, with the changes we had. Scott Woodrum, God love him. I've had so much fun with Scott in all the years as the chairman of the course up there. Tim, I'd even put it on the problems. You're welcome, SW. And he's like, we haven't had a railroad crossing. So my last year I had a railroad crossing. And dang it, I think he scored a 45 on it. He's like, yeah, I got you, Murph. Rick Foster, my buddy of life, Jim Locktosh, have been a huge influence. Dean Yockey, Dean very well.
Yes.
Steve sat there and shook our hands every year at the start of the Ohio TDC. Sam Fawcett, Stephen Garish, Big Sexy, Mike Hathaway, Mark Spencer. But probably the one, that, and Steve knows the story, years ago in '07, I met this young kid, and he hadn't really competed before. And oddly enough, our hire dates were very, very similar, except I was a year longer than him at Walmart. And I said, man, stick around, kid, you'll go somewhere. And he's like, I don't know, man, I never have done very well. He's sitting in the back of this, I don't know, Escalade or something. He's always a big feeler, always has to look right. So Steve knows where I'm going with this. And, the hair, yeah, my tribute for tonight's show, the hard part. But this kid, he was a young kid and he was just learning how. And I said, man, I'll help you. I've got a little experience with this. I'll help you. And that would be Jason Imhoff. And, he was energetic. We kind of drew to each other somehow because of the owner operator side. And, and he put in the effort and I put in the effort with him, and we saw a lot of awards, and he was a driver of the year a few years back. I told him, like I told you, Steve, if you want to win the driver of the year, have me not show up, because I wasn't there when he won and wasn't there when you won. But, just a wonderful guy, gave his whole entire life, just like Steve and you, Tim, to trucking. And the big thing is with trucking, and I was talking to one of my mentees the other day, it can take you anywhere. I had no idea in 2008, and I know, Steve, you've had the opportunity. I had no idea in 2008 that I could get to represent the association and my company in Washington, D.C. at the Capitol. I'm a hill jack from Missouri. Well, I have no business being in the Capitol, and I probably showed it, right? But good Lord, it's the passion and the love that people have for this industry. And it's amazing. We all have this passion and love, but we can't agree on the same truck stop to go to.
Nope.
It's incredible.
Right.
No.
So
that's the thing, Jim. I've been asked, they said, what happened to trucking? I said, one thing. They took the round table out of the truck stops.
Froze up.
Am I there?
Yeah, you're there.
Okay. I said they took the round table out of the truck stops. They replaced it with a Wendy's, a McDonald's, a Subway. Man, when I started in this business in January of 1989, I could walk in and sit down at the round table. They ask where you're going. They ask, oh, well, I've been there. Here, this is how you get it. You just get your pen out. You just write them directions down. Now, you can't even get a guy to talk to you when you walk across the parking lot.
You're right.
And I mean, it's really changed, but something that hasn't changed is the TDCs. And that's what we're talking about right now. And there's always that little camaraderie, you know. And when you turn that corner in January and the TDCs are starting to get fired up, everybody's calling who's doing this class, who so and so what class he doing in. You guys want to go together. You don't want to compete against him because you won't get to go together. So you try to work it so you get together and everything. And yeah, you just mentioned a lot of names, Jim, that I'm familiar with. And it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And just like you said, being able to go to Washington D.C. and represent the association, represent your company, man, that's I tell these kids, if they want to get into this industry, you could be home every day, every other day, every third day. You can get in the truck and stay gone 3 months if you want to. It's the options, excuse me, are endless in this business. And I said, trust me, I've never missed a paycheck, and I daggone sure ain't missed a meal.
Y'all freeze up.
So,
well, the funny thing too, I would say is, I remember when you wasn't on that call list, when you wasn't up placing so high, and now I see you up there. You're on that call list with them people, so it kind of changes up. So yeah,
right.
it's fun. So yeah, no, it's all about family, and I go back to what I say from the beginning. It's about family and changing lives and making a difference, and each one of you do that by this show, and represent the industry well, and we thank you.
Well, thank you for being on and telling your side and your story. Now, I want to get something straight to the listening audience. We
Oh
both
no.
are, we both are from Missouri, but he's out there in Chief and Royal's place. I'm a Cardinals fan. Okay, we ain't got no football team, but we got a baseball team.
I want to jump in. That's okay. And if y'all can hear me, can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
I can hear you.
Okay, I think I'm fading in and out some, but anyway, I want to ask you a little bit about heading up and dealing with the Ohio TDC and all that. Is there any story that sticks out? When you're going through the driver orientation and stuff like that, is there any stories that stick out to you that you want to share with us?
Well, I think Steve probably knows where I may go with this. We've had many opportunities. When they come in the room, you go out and it's like old home week, right? That first 5 minutes is the greatest. Guys come in the room and you're hugging and give them all them hugs, and all the big players want to sit right up front. And just like at Nationals or any other state TDC, when you do the course overview, you get the same question 47 times, worded 47 different ways. And I was probably some of them may be listening tonight. I know one of them was probably right up the road from me that drove when I was on the Walmart side of the house. And, that person asked the same question. The other person, I look at him and I'd be like, who you drive for? They got quiet, right? And my thing is, from my position, and I think no matter where I've been, a lot of people would say, from my position, fair and balanced, right? I try to be fair and balanced and equal in whether it be discipline or paying tribute to people. And with that said, the most important thing to me is we only have one time around this world, right?
Yes.
You only get a cycle at one time. And I am all about making it fun, right? If you can, the old Jim Valvano, if you can smile, if you can laugh, if you can love, all that every day at yourself and make people enjoy life and have fun, that makes it so much better. I mean, there's time to be serious, but you got to have fun and you got to be able to give that give and take back and forth. And, that is, that's what I tell people. There's times you got to be pretty thick skinned, and
Right.
you got to be able to talk to people person to person. But the one I do want to share one story, because to me this is one that really kind of means a lot to me. As we educate and we continue to help people, right, mentoring, all that stuff, the younger people. one of the things that I never will forget the day I had a young lady, single young lady, go through a driving school. And, and she wasn't sure she was going to get through, and she was very proud of herself, and she did incredible and was very open and very transparent about her family in the class and around, and went through our driving school. And I was about, I don't know, maybe a year later, I'm up teaching a class, and the door comes open. She comes in, she goes, "You got a minute? I just want to come up and say something." And she kind of put her arm around me a little bit. I made sure no HR was in the room when that happened. And but she comes up, she put her arm around me, and she goes, "I owe this guy a thank you." And I was like, "For what?" And she said, "Thanks to him and his support over the last year, I was able, as a single mom, going through this school, going through this program, to buy my daughter her first house." I almost cried. I get
Oh,
teared up right now thinking about it.
exactly.
And that's a big thing.
You don't have on people when you afford them opportunities. And I know everybody likes the old saying, "Pay it forward," but really and truly, paying it forward in more ways than one. And and it's reciprocal for sure.
Correct.
Yep.
Well, and Steve, in your share the road. I mean, I've sat back and I've watched Steve do some of the share the road stuff, and I sit back and go, that kid's come a long way.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and it's funny because, like I told y'all before, I get up before 250, 500,000 people, 2,000 people at the banquet. I'm talking no problem. But I was a little nervous coming on tonight. But once you get talking about your passion, your love, it just
That's right.
flows, right? It
That's
becomes
right.
natural and it flows. And that's what I tell people. Just be yourself. That's all you got to be. Just be yourself.
That's right.
Exactly. Exactly. Jim, I got a question. We did something in Ohio that I don't think any other state ever did, and that was bring the military class in.
Yeah.
How did that form, and how did that develop?
So we had some military, if I remember correctly, we had some military up there around Sandusky that Ron Brotherton had some ties to, I believe, and they wanted to get involved, and we're like, "Hey, come compete." And so we brought him in for 2 years, and that was a good time coming in and having them do that. We a lot of small things that was big. Some of the opening tributes, I think, that we do as we start up. I haven't seen any other truck driving championship do some of those. With the truck, we kind of tailored that from nationals. We do some pretty cool tributes when we lose some, and that's what's really cool. So, all the states have their own little thing they do, and it's fun to know that as you go on, you try to start some of that at other places, and people are like, "Oh, that's a good idea. Let's do that." So,
Exactly. Exactly. That was unique and different with the military guys there. That was awesome. I got asked to explain the pre-trip part to them, and I sat there at the table and explained it to them and everything. And
yeah,
me, it was getting videoed, and but I mean to be able to teach and to instruct and help these gentlemen out and ladies now. I've got a couple, three young ladies over here at the Dayton terminal that's getting into the TDC, and they're doing pretty good. They're doing pretty good, and I told them, don't give up. Don't give up. At first you don't succeed, try again.
you know,
It will come to you.
well, and we have, which is kind of unique at our technicians competition, which runs right along with the drivers. We have the kind of that student group, right? We bring in the
Right.
students from, which is kind of unique because they're really good, and I think it'd be kind of cool. Um, to open it up to truck driving schools and have like a student class come compete.
Right.
Let them get a taste of it before they ever get into it. And
Right.
then that grows because at some point in time, I hate to say it, we ain't all going to be around here. And
That's right.
we got to figure out how to get that next group interested, because so many of them like, I can't have my cell phone in my hand. I don't get paid for this. I got to practice. I got to do extra time. I'm not interested in none of that. So
Right.
I don't know how to tie that tie, but I look forward to trying to figure it out.
Murph, you said something just then that I see year after year, and even veterans is that cell phone. What's so big about being so tied to that cell phone that you can't put it down for a few hours for competition?
I know. I had to kick one
Watches,
of my own guys out 3 years ago, and he's like, "But I work for you. Still the same rule for you as it is anyone else."
right?
You know?
Yep, it's competition for sure.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I'm sure you guys probably seen it. I've
Yep.
done a road test before, and they pick up the phone on a road test. I'm like, you can just pull over right now. I'll drive back.
Hey,
For
I
what?
get.
What's the big deal?
I've got to tell. I meant to tell it last week when we was talking about the same thing, but I did it. I'm a road test observer down
Yeah.
here at my terminal, and there was one time I had a guy get in and Super 10, and that guy could not shift for anything, and I had to get to do some part of the road testing also. And I said, we're not going on the interstate unless you can get through these gears like you're supposed to. And I gave him like 3 or 4 chances. I finally had to take it and say, look, I'm going to change out. I'm going to drive it back and we'll work on this. You can work on this later. Because there was no way I was going to get him on the interstate and get out there and get stuck with him. He couldn't shift that Super 10.
So I'm just curious, if you don't mind me asking y'all a question. What is your all's thought, because you're still out there on the road, about the whole automatic transmission shift and change? And like you said, people still not able to drive the standard. I mean, that's huge, right? And I know why every big company is shifting to it, and there won't be warranties on manual transmissions, and at some point in time, and turnover and driver resale. What's your all's thoughts on that?
I'll start with that. So my thoughts on it is, I think manual, even if you are in an automatic every day, because you never know when somebody, if you're going to break down, you don't know what they're going to bring you, especially if they're going to bring it to you from a vendor. But I think that you should have to learn how to drive both, and you should have even that restriction that they're putting. I think that needs to be thoroughly looked at with the companies, but I know the company's idea about. I'm just kind of old school in that sense, as far as I think you need to learn how to drive a standard for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I agree. I agree totally. I mean, I haven't been in a standard in 7-8 years, and I got in one 6 months ago, and it didn't take but just a few steps and a few shifts, and I was right there where I needed to be. But I think I agree with Tim. I believe they ought to train them on a manual, take it in a manual, get their license, and that way they don't have that restriction. And Tim, it was funny when you was talking about the guy that couldn't shift. When I used to train umpteen years ago, I'd be back there in the bunk after I would teach them how to get in a rhythm. I said 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I would sit back there in the bunk just to give them their personal time, and I'd hear my trainees up there counting to themselves every time they chip. 1, 2, 1, 2. Now they grind a little bit, but next thing you know, that rhythm would come in, and I'd sit back there with a big smile on my face. And another big thing is pay attention. We talk about distracted driving, cell phones, and everything else. And I was talking to one of our DDIs one day, and he said, I'm having trouble with this guy's paying attention. I said, make him read every sign to you, every sign, read it out loud. And I learned that from a trainer, oh gosh, 89, 90. And he would go down the road and he'd catch a driver just kind of gawking. And he'd say, what'd that sign say? What sign? Well, a sign back here. Well, I didn't see no sign. So for the next 5-10 miles, every sign, I want you to read it out loud to me. Get them guys paying attention to what's going on, you know. And I don't know this. I see it every day. This distracted driving. It's 2 wheels, 4 wheels, 6 wheels, 8 wheels, 18 wheels. It don't matter what it is. I seen a guy riding a motorcycle one summer coming out of Effenberg. He's kicked back, ain't got his hands on the handlebars, and he's just texting away. And I thought, good Lord mercy, he hits one of them bridge expansions, he is gone. You know,
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy, you know. And the other thing that I really like to talk about is, you know, we never know it all, right? We never know it all. And I remember this guy, and this is one of the best things I can ever, you know, one of the guys that's probably watching this tonight's going to laugh when I say this. I was out in the middle of Casa Grande, Arizona, and we had a problem with guys not using 3-point in and out, right? It's just a matter of laziness. And he goes, well, how come y'all don't use left hand method? And I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, I acted like I knew what he was saying. Oh, yeah, yeah. I heard of that, whatever. And finally, I went over when he wasn't around. And when I sat down, I'm like, what are you talking about? And he goes, if you take that left hand and you put it on the bottom of the steering wheel like this, it's impossible to come out of the truck without coming out backwards. You can't go underneath your arm and come out. And I never had heard that, you know. So and I tell that story to people all the time because we've been around a long time, right? 37, 38 years. We can still learn, right? And
exactly.
back to what you're saying, one of the worst things we do is when we're teaching someone how to drive is you got to on a manual, you got to shift at this RPM. You got to shift at this RPM. Well, the only good part to that is their head's already looking down at the cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
So they're looking now at the RPMs. And back to what you say, you know, one of Brakes, which is a great event that I spent many years assisting with, be responsible and keep everyone safe to Brakes driving school. They said looking at your hood's no good. You know, you got to get your eyes up, eyes up. And one of the things that I heard a guy say too is exactly what you're saying, but a little bit different. Read all the overhead signs. Because
Right.
if you're looking up here, right, at the top half of your windshield, you can still see everything down here. If you're looking down here, you can't see nothing out ahead of you,
Nope.
right?
That's right.
That's where all them rear end collisions happen. And we got to continue to talk people through that. And they're like, well, I never saw that person. How did you not see a truck stopped in front of you? You know, I mean,
So,
people ask me all the time, how did they hit your truck? I'm like, because they're not looking at the windshield. Pretty
Exactly.
pretty simple.
so, Murph, I think that I actually met you in 2018. Were you in Columbus, Ohio, at the TDC there
At the Nationals,
at the Nationals?
yes, that is something that is a TDC that hits close to my heart. I believe I met you there too, and actually Steve
And
remembers it very well because I had to leave early because my mom passed away at that Nationals.
yep, I do remember that. Yeah, I do remember that. And
Yep,
that's what I was thinking. I was like, I think I met him there for sure.
yep,
But let me uh, one other question, and we can expand on this, and we'll close the show out after this because we've got about 7 minutes left in the show.
yeah,
Post trip of the show here in just a minute. All right.
yeah.
So my question is, if there's a young driver or just getting into the industry, what advice would that him or her?
Find a mentor. Find somebody you can learn from. Find somebody that you can build a relationship with. Find somebody that you are open to talk to, whatever. And I think anyone that is in this industry, for the most part, that cares about the industry, that has a love and a passion that we do, would be more than happy to help someone out. The problem is, a lot of people don't ask for help. They know it all. We've all seen it. A lot of the younger people getting into the industry and even older people getting into the industry from another profession, whatever, you know, through COVID, we saw a lot of that. I got this. I know it. I got this. I know it. I've been in it 37, 38 years. I don't know it. I know
Bingo.
parts of it, right? I know
Hmm.
parts of it, but you know, Steve still teaches me stuff. I watch people every day, right? And I sit back and I go, But just like Steve and I talked a couple years ago, we never know who's watching us. Because trust me, there's people watching us too, and we don't even know it. How are you acting? How are you doing this? How are you doing that? So you got to lead by example, right? Show that. But in the opposite side, you got to be open and available. And we, as the older industry, owe it to the younger people coming in to make ourselves available. You know, there's times you still need your own time, but there's times you just got to make it available. And,
That's right.
So, I mean, that's kind of what I say is be open to learn, right? Come in, forget everything you think you know, be open to learn, and be good. Hey, Steve, do all the guests on the show get one of them nice hats? That's pretty sharp, bud. I'm just curious.
That is sharp, ain't it?
Yeah,
you got to talk to the boss man. He's got all the hats.
If somebody wants a hat like this, we can get them. We can get them. I've actually sold them all here lately, but no, we haven't given them to the guests yet.
Wow. There's always a first.
There's always a first. That's first.
Hey,
I tell you,
just like everything else, you don't know if you don't ask.
Exactly.
I tell you what, Murph. I tell you what, if we get another order in, I will put one out to the side and I'll have Steve get it to you.
Sounds good. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate y'all taking time to let me be on your show. It's been fun. The hour's gone by quicker than I thought. I thought it was Tim or Steve and I just sitting over on the couch at Kalahari just talking about life. So it's really been fun. I thank you so much. It's been an honor.
You know what? We broadcast a Trucker's Voices when he was at Kalahari one time, and we had him and Russ Simpson and Scott Woodrum on there, and there were some other people in the room. We did like they were all in the room, and we had a good time.
Yes, we did. We did it twice because the first night I was sitting on my balcony, doing it off my phone, and we had what was his name? He moved to Texas. I can't but anyway, he was a guest on the show. We had him on that night, and I was at Kalahari, and then
Wayne Campbell.
Thank you. Thank you. And then, like I said, that next night we was in the room, and we had Randy Broderick, we had Russ Simpson, we had Herschel was there, Rich Frazier come in. We had a whole list of them, man. That's the thing about this show. It's just a good time and tell your story.
Sounds like a most wanted list to me.
Exactly.
There you go. That's exactly. Yeah, you're exactly right. Well, listen, we always inspiration and safety. So, and we always let our guests, before we actually end the show, give that inspiration and safety. And then Steve will, and then I'll close the show out. So, Murph, word of inspiration and safety to the listening audience.
Be kind to others. Take care of other people. And be nice. Be nice and represent yourself and represent your company in a professional manner. And, go out and I'll say it because I use it all the time. Go out and pay it forward. Be a mentor to somebody, and help the world be better tomorrow than what it is today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that we've had a lot of listeners on here. Mark Spencer and his wife. We've had them on the show before. Glenn Kirk, Mona Beadle. We've had. They're all listening over there. Most of them are on YouTube listening, but for everybody that's listening on here on Facebook and YouTube, and then if you're listening to it on the replay on iHeartRadio, Spotify, or either what is the other one, Steve? We're on so many of them. We're on Apple Podcasts too.
We're everywhere.
We're everywhere. We're even worldwide. We've had people from Australia listening to the show before. Been such a great time tonight, Murph. We sure do appreciate your time. But if you'll hang tight after we close the show out, we'll be on the other side off the air, and we want to speak to you before you leave, okay?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and give the listening audience a word of advice and encouragement on this post-trip part of the show.
Sounds good. We appreciate everybody listening. Appreciate Jim coming on and telling his story. And, man, y'all tune in. We're going to have another good guest on for next week. And like I always say, remember, the most important trip is the trip home.
Absolutely. And I do appreciate y'all. I'm going to put Steve and Murph in the background real quick, but we will But let me see if I can get them out off the screen real quick. Like, there we go. Yeah, I wanted a screen all to myself. So I got them in the background in the green room now. Now Steve can come back in because he's got controls if he ever wants to. But anyway, I thank y'all for listening tonight. Y'all know that it's the weekend coming up, and people's going to have to look out, and take extra caution. Y'all know my motto is we got to look out for those who are. But before we go, I've got something very special for my good friend Steve here, and I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to present it. And this is heard for the first Steve brand here. So y'all just hold on just a minute. I'm going to share the screen here. All right, coming up pretty soon here. See if we can get this to work. Well, looks like it's not working there, Steve. Dadgummit. I'm going to bring you back in there. So I'm going to bring you back in there, Steve, okay?
All right.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you real good.
I've got another way to do this, okay?
Okay.
All right. So I got something, Steve, here. I appreciate y'all bearing with me. But I've got, Steve, something ready to go here. You're having some technical difficulties again because Tim don't know how to work this.
We're not doing good in radio land of having dead airspace here. We gotta work on that.
He was a trucker with a heart of gold, rolling through where the stories unfold. On the boots and a map in his hand, king of the highway, he roamed his great land.
Faintly.
Every diner from the state line to the coast, you and his veins never once spoke. CB radio crackling the light, he drove through the night, chasing with
it's coming in and out, Tim.
All right, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to post it on Truck page for you to hear and everybody else to hear. How about that?
That sounds good, brother. That sounds good.
What it was, it's a song that I made for you, and it's you know how I do those songs. But anyway, we're going to close the show out here. We thank everybody for listening. It will replay tomorrow at 9 a.m. Truckers' Voices on Facebook and YouTube. And we're going to close this out with our old EXO song here. So we'll see y'all next week right here on Truckers' Voices.
We'll see y'all.
Well, we got to get it working.
Out on the blacktop, the moon hanging low. Two truckers riding where the big rigs roll. Tool man's got a story, 10 speed's got a laugh. They're spinning tales on the radio path with a CB buzz and a coffee cup. They're rolling hard, never giving up. From coast to coast, their words take flight to kings on the highway, rolling through the night. It's 10 speed and two-man tales from the road. Stories of the weigh-ins and heavy loads. From the desert sands to the great smoky pipes, they're sharing their lives 1 mile at a time. Remember that time in Amarillo town? We broke down the truck, but still made it round. Toolman grinned and the diner burned out, but we got a pie before they shut it down. 10 speed chuckle, how about that storm? Lightning so close, it kept the rig warm. They swapped